Hello and welcome to this week's Dev Diary for Imperator Rome. Today we are getting a message from Arhio, the game director for Imperator Rome, and we will get some new updates and information about what we can expect in the upcoming Marius 2.0 update. So let's see what Arhio here has to say. While there is yet more to come regarding Marian military matters, today I'm here to announce that the content pack Heirs of Alexander will be released in conjunction with the Marius update. As befits our 2.0 statement, the Heirs of Alexander content pack will be the largest yet, encompassing mission trees and flavor events for all the Diadochi nations, as well as the ability to customize and build a large variety of great wonders as detailed in the Vitruvius Dev Diary that they showed a few weeks back. Included alongside this will be a variety of additional content that you have grown to expect from content packs, including new event pictures, music tracks, and more. As time goes on, we will introduce more specifics surrounding the content you will receive in the HOA pack. However, as a small addendum to last week's diary, I would like to clarify that the Legion honors that you encountered in the Legion's feature reveal will be part of the HOA pack. Okay, so we have two things coming out here. Well, we have several things coming out. We have the Heirs of Alexander, which is its own DLC, and it's going to be folded into the rest of the Marius update, which is going, it's packaged up as Imperator Rome 2.0, as it were. So here's another piece of that, another element of that is the Heirs of Alexander DLC, and the Legion Honors feature that was mentioned in last week's Dev Diary, which I invite you to go check out here on the channel. The Legion Honors feature will be a part of the Heirs of Alexander pack specifically. With this announcement out of the way, I'll detail a few more changes you can expect in the Marius update. With the Legacy of Alexander title, Arhio says, this Diadochi-only war goal has been refactored to use a mechanic similar to that of civil wars. What this means, in essence, is that occupying a territory belonging to the target war leader during a Legacy of Alexander war will result in the immediate cession of said territory to the opposing war leader. Okay, so for anybody who has played Imperator Rome or has experienced a civil war or merely observed a civil war in the game, it doesn't work like normal wars. Normally, when two nations attack each other, you have to occupy the land until a peace deal is made and is formally handed over, and that's when the border changes colors, as it were. Normally it's occupied and there's some lines across it, but with civil wars, whoever controls the territory, there's no occupation. It just flips immediately. And so this casus belli, or this war goal, rather, the Legacy of Alexander type of war will not have occupation, which I think is very interesting. I don't think we really need the whole occupation system as it is now, so I'm kind of glad that they're tweaking it and doing something with the really sort of stagnant and frustrating war score system that they use to gobble up territory. Every territory that changes hands this way will add a small amount of war exhaustion to the war leader that gains the territory, resulting in wars in which large amounts of territory can change hands, whilst also reaching an organic endpoint at which both sides are weary enough to make peace. Okay, that's cool. So instead of having it determined by war score per se, it's determined just when you are exhausted. Your war exhaustion is too high, you cannot continue the effort, and you have to sue for peace, as it were. There's something to be said for that, so you can just gobble up as much territory as you're capable of, and then that will make you exhausted. You get a small amount of war exhaustion for every piece of territory that you gobble up. So if you gobble up a lot, you'll get a lot. If you only gobble up a little bit, you won't get very much. But if you want to just expand as rapidly as you can, you're going to get war exhaustion, it seems like. And the limits of your war-making and conquest ability correlate with the limits of your war exhaustion. And that is a change to how it is going now. However, the problem with that is then you can't make a custom sort of peace deal. Say you conquered all this land, but you'd be willing to give up all of it for just one city, or some such thing. And that you don't happen to control. So I want to see if they're going to allow you to get creative with your peace deals, even with having a different type of way to actually acquire the territory during the war. We are also looking at making a similar war goal available in other circumstances. Good. Particularly for situations in which it makes historical sense to do so. For example, the expansion of the Parthian state. Okay, that's good. They should... I like that they're going to change up the way of acquiring territory through war. This is the second time I'm going to mention this in this video, but I'll say it again. The way that they're doing it now is... sure, it works in a sort of board gamey sort of way, and that's fine. What do we expect? It is a game after all. But it would be nice to have some sort of historical corollary with the war score system. So the Parthians, of course, they just sort of swept through what is traditionally Iran, Persia, and pushed the Seleucids, one of the Diadochi, out, basically. Pushed them out of Persia and into Syria. And the devs are apparently looking into the idea of giving rise to the Parthians, who need the spotlight on them a little bit, I think, and allowing the Parthians to conquer Persia, basically, which they don't tend to do the way the game is currently scripted. Okay, moving on. Legion/levy indicators. As hinted at last week, there will be a visual distinction between levied units and legionary units. The 3D unit models used to display levies and legions will use light and heavy infantry, respectively. This distinction is a highly important gameplay factor, and as such, the large variety of new unit models will be included as part of the Marius update. That is absolutely great. So this game, now aesthetics ranked low on the priority list of things this game needs urgently. However, some of the models, I mean, I'm very pleased with this. These look pretty good. Let's go through them one by one. So the one on the left is the Legion, which is represented with heavier armor and equipment and a shield. Well, I guess they both have shields. Well, the heavy unit is on the left. It's the Legion, as classified in the game, and on the right is the levies, which are lighter infantry with sandals, as opposed to these boots over here. Very cool. And these are the Arabian legions and levies. Celtic. Oh, we got a ginger there. Very fitting. Greek. And Roman. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Next week, we'll have more Legion/Levy 3D models from other graphical cultures groups to show you. And now on to Snow Crystal's Seleucid mission. So we get a double journal here today. That's awesome. Before we move on, let's just take one more minute to appreciate these models and look forward to next week. So here we have, one more time, the Arabian group, the Celtic group, the Greek group, and the Roman group. Yeah, these all look wonderful. The game did need some new modeling, and it goes with the new Legion system, which I'm very much looking forward to trying out. I think we're good there. Let's move on to the next part of the dev diary, and this one comes from Snow Crystal, a content designer on Imperator. Let's see what Snow Crystal has to say. Hello there. For those of you who haven't seen me around before, I am Joachim, one of the content designers on Imperator Rome. This week it is my pleasure to introduce the new Seleucid mission trees that I've been working on for the Marius update. The Seleucids have 4 new mission trees, focusing on Babylonia, Syria, Anatolia, and Palestine/Phoenicia, respectively. When I started working on them, I wanted to showcase what happened in the early years of the dynasty, as well as pay particular attention to the regions where they could come into contact and conflict with the other Diadochi, as this is a Diadochi-focused pack. I'll try to limit myself slightly by showing off each mission and talking a bit about them, then showcasing one specific mission task inside that mission before moving on to the next tree. If this DD was going into every specific task, I worry it might get a tad too long for most people. Probably right about that. Okay, so there's the Seleucids get their own mission tree in this upcoming 2.0 update, and the Heirs of Alexander DLC to go with it. The first one that we can look at here is Babylonia. satrapy of Babylonia. So you get your own mission tree that are localized. As he just said, we'll say them one more time: Babylonia, Syria, Anatolia, and Palestine/Phoenicia. The various areas of the Seleucid Empire. So we can just take a look at this chart now. These are cool names, but we don't know, we can't tell exactly what all of them do, right? So, or the requirements to get each one. Priests of Marduk, Heirs of Babylonia, local legitimacy. So we don't know, but in the end, the last mission is the loyal satrapy, which I imagine gives you some sort of buff or some sort of worthwhile reward to keep Babylonia in tow as the Seleucid Empire. Let's take a look. So I guess he does say something about it. For Babylonia, as a logical starting point when you begin a new game, I wanted to have some sort of interactions with a local priesthood. They played a notable role in the early rule of Seleucus when he was still a satrap. I also wanted to show that Babylonia was in many ways an important reason why Seleucus rose to prominence, and a large part of the mission focuses on building up Babylonia to become a vital core for your nation. That's really cool. So Snow Crystal here is definitely playing into the entire historical simulation vibe that some people would really like to see the direction of Imperator Rome go. I'm one of those people. So yeah, he's right. The Greeks, the Macedonians, if you prefer, the Hellenes, they all, they came over and they conquered Babylonia. Alexander the Great conquered the entire Persian Empire, which included the ancient city of Babylon. And in order to rule there as foreigners, they had to, of course, deal with the local priesthood who were powerful. And this is a chapter in history that is now being reflected in the game. So as Seleucus, you got to deal with the Babylonian priesthood and figure out how to rule them, as a foreign ruler. Now, the people of Babylonia, this is a mission. Let's see where it is in the tree. People of I don't see it. There it is. People of Babylonia on the second tier there. This is the second tier. It goes from top to bottom. Okay, people of Babylonia cannot be completed before the barriers of Babylonia, which is here. As you can see, it leads to the people of Babylonia. Too far. Task has unfulfilled conditions. At least 90% of the 905 pops in the region of Mesopotamia are owned by the Seleucid Empire, is Macedonian, or of an integrated culture. Oh. So, that's interesting. The people of Babylonia. That means you either need to integrate the Babylonian culture or convert them all to Macedonian. And I'm thinking that the latter option will take you, it should take you pretty much it should take you at least half the campaign. It'll take you a long time. And I've always thought that culture conversion in Imperator Rome was a bit too rapid. I hope they slow it down. Yeah. So the solution here appears to be to integrate the Babylonian people as much as you can, because you need 90% of them in order to get this mission. But the reward is 2 free province investments, which is meh. I mean, it's okay. I sometimes do wish these mission buffs were a little bit better. What does he say here? One of the advantages of the changes we made in the Menander update is that now we have access to more tools that we can utilize in our missions, like cultural integration. You probably see several tasks like these, whether we either ask you to integrate a specific culture or to have integrated a certain amount of people in an area or region. Okay, so this is not unique to the Mesopotamia region or Babylon, but this is the type of mission that will be popping up all over in the Marius update. Next we have Syria, sort of the same sort of thing. Top to bottom mission tree in which you end up with a second home. Now, Syria, of course, became the Seleucid power base. That's the city of Antioch. Was founded by, or became great under Seleucus. So they had to abandon Babylon, I think, from the Parthians. So they were driven from Persia and Mesopotamia into what is today Syria, and that was their power base until the Romans came and wiped them out, I think. So Syria is a very important part of the Seleucid Empire. For many, the Seleucid dynasty is deeply associated with the area around Syria, to the point where the region was occasionally called Seleucus, as Seleucus spent many years and considerable resources funding Antioch and Seleucia Pieria. Because of our starting date, it does not actually own the area when the game starts. So it makes a natural first goal for the player to start moving westward to take control of the place the Seleucid dynasty was most known for holding. The first three tasks up to, but not including Syrian governance, are focused around conquering the area if you don't already hold it, but everything afterwards is mostly focused around building up Syria. On the right-hand side, there's some optional tasks where you can step through the Syrian gates and start conquering Cilicia on the other side of the Amanus Mountains. Okay, Greek settlers is the mission. Should find it here. There it is. And the fourth tier down, 4 out of 6. Cannot be completed before Syrian governance. Okay, spend money, spend political influence, but then you appeal to Hellenistic pops in Greece, Macedonia, and Asia to migrate to Seleucid cities in Syria. Oh, I like that a lot. Ooh, that's really cool. Okay, that is very creative. That is now getting you to be able to interact with the world in sort of a new way. I mean, I know that there are migratory elements. People do migrate and leave, but this should definitely be a thing. You should be able to appeal to your brethren in the homeland, in the fatherland, or what have you, to come into your realm and help Hellenize it, as it were. To truly build up Syria the way we would like to, we are going to need to look for new settlers that can populate its cities and settlements. We have long wanted more Greeks that can levy into our armies, and with a Mediterranean port in our hands, it makes sense we can finally do that. Cool. Okay, Greek settlers. Ooh, so we actually have a screenshot for this. We have seen a large influx of new settlers in several of our cities, ready to serve under our rule, providing taxes and levies both. With loyal Greek settlers interspersed between the locals, we are sure to remedy any potential unrest and revolts before they can take place. The mission task, Greek settlers, has now been completed. Delice has received 44 pops. They receive tons of pops. Antiocha receives 19 pops. Whoa, so you get almost 100 pops here, just this. I mean, it's all work in progress, but you get a bunch of Greek pops just move into your city. That's a good... Remember when I was saying that I think that some of these rewards should be a little bit more generous? Well, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly the type of thing that a mission should accomplish. It should alter the way the world looks and feels and is. You know, the way people move from place to place was a big part. It's a big part of human history in general, but in antiquity especially, the movement of people into their colonies, especially the Greeks, was altered the course of history every time it happened. Okay, that's very cool. One of the things I wanted to showcase with this mission was how Seleucus actively built up Syria and had a large group of Greek settlers migrate to the region, so he could bolster his armies with Greek troops. Cut off from the west and the Mediterranean, Seleucus did not have the heavier infantry of his peers at our start date. It should be mentioned that the countries losing pops from this event are actually quite well paid to make up for it. Okay, so you have to give up money and political influence, probably. 250 gold, 50 political influence. So this, I'm just gonna give him another shout out here. Snow Crystal. Yeah, this is how you should be doing it. You should be designing this game along the lines of the historical record. Like, what happened, and how do we gamify that, make it fun to do, and make it a goal. That there's so much to draw from in history, and the period of antiquity is no exception. It's up to now, it's been a little bit of a wasted opportunity. So this reflects an actual historical event and an actual policy by Seleucus. Very cool, very cool. I am very impressed with the second part, more than I thought I would be. Anatolia. We can just sort of scroll through the tree here, and then Western Dreams, Antiquated capital, moving westward. I don't know what west refers to. Does that refer to the Greek homeland? The Oracle of Didymia. Well, let's see what he has to say. They do talk about the Oracle of Didymia, but let's read first. After beating back Lysimachus' attempt at taking control of the whole empire, Seleucus himself was overtaken by ambition and eventually died at the hands of Ptolemy Kourounos. And with his death, the final living successor was put to rest. Unlike Lysimachus, whose little empire quickly crumbled and fell apart, Seleucus' death was fairly well handled by Antiochus, and the empire would endure for several hundred years. One major change before and after Lysimachus' attempt at conquering the other Diadochi was the importance of Anatolia for the Seleucids. Though Seleucus held parts of Cilicia after the Battle of Ipsos, his control was confined to the very southeastern part of the region. After the death of Seleucus, Antiochus would shift his focus westward, spending a lot of time in Anatolia, where he funded several cities and improving the infrastructure all the way to Sardis in the far west, in addition to beating back the Galatian invasion. Later on, two scions of the dynasty, Seleucus II Callinicos and Antiochus Hierax, would fight over Anatolia, as it had become such an integral part of the empire. As a third mission, it made a lot of sense for me to focus on Anatolia, and I chose to specifically focus on the region surrounding the Persian Royal Road. The mission has both conquest missions as well as infrastructure, slowly moving westward as you go through it. It is not completely like Seleucus' sudden capture of the whole region, but I figured it made for the best experience. Okay. This guy's really cool. Yeah, big shout out, person. Snow Crystal. I don't know if it's a guy. But Snow Crystal's really cool. Good job, Snow Crystal. This is how the game should be oriented, in my view. Do you, like, the attempt should at least be made to portray history. And then you work around it. I mean, they're going to be compromised, that's fine. But at least have the spirit there. I like where the spirit of this is placed now. Let's see what the Oracle of Didymia is all about. What does it give you? State, religion, happiness, and omen power. Okay. And your ruler gets 2 zeal. That's a really good reward. I don't know how you get it. You need 2 temples. Alright. The Seleucid dynasty ended up being particularly associated with the Greek deity Apollo, leading to the syncretic deity Apollo Nabu, as well as their support of the oracle in Didymia. It should be noted that Apollo Didymios was originally a deity specifically for Syracuse in the Magna Graecia content pack. So you will only be able to unlock the deity for the Seleucid Empire if you already owned that pack as well. Okay. Alright. Fine. So, wait. Apollo Nabu, huh? Apollo Didymios? So can we can we get syncretic deities? That would be pretty cool. I know you can already synchronize the religions, the pantheons and stuff. You can move different gods in and out, but I wonder if you can modify specific deities. Let's keep going. And then the next mission tree is Egypt, and it's the final mission. For the final mission, it made a lot of sense to focus on the region that would eventually lead to several Syrian wars fought over it: Palestine and Phoenicia. After the Battle of Ipsos, Seleucus was originally given a far larger piece of land, but found Ptolemy had already taken control of it and refused to hand it over to his old friend. Though Seleucus forgave this slight and would go on to make more out of Syria than most would have expected of him, his descendants would eventually start using it as a reason to engage their southern neighbors in the many Syrian wars. For the mission, the first part of the mission focuses on securing a route southwards through the southern part of Syria. The second half focuses on conquering Palestine and to start building up the infrastructure in the region, with a chance to release the Judean state as a client. This would be good because this is also historically accurate. Now, the game starts with Judea and Samaria under Antigonid control, which it was, I think, and then it was under Ptolemaic control and it was under Seleucid control. But it went back and forth, so it definitely should have some role in the story of your campaign. Settling the Decapolis. Oh, another note: the story of Hanukkah, in fact, takes place when the Seleucids controlled Judea, and the story is about a bunch of Judeans fighting off the Seleucids who had invaded. Settling the Decapolis. This task will take 180 days to complete. Costs 250 gold, 225 political influence. We already saw this. Okay, so this is another thing that you can get in Decapolis, so it just repeats to get more Greek pops. Similar to the migration to Syria, there was a large group of Greek settlers who ended up moving to Decapolis, leading to its name as they re-established several of the 10 cities. I wanted a mission task that could replicate that to a certain degree, even though historically speaking the migration to Decapolis happened under both the Ptolemies and the Seleucids, rather than one fell swoop. Well, thank you for letting us know that distinction. Conclusion. Personally, I've always been a huge fan of the Salukids, so it was a pleasure being able to work on them. And I hope people will enjoy the missions when they are finally released. Until next time. Okay, so Snow Crystal here, big props to you for making this game actually about history. Thank you. That is what it should be. More good stuff from the Marius 2.0 update, so please let me know how you feel about this dev diary in the comments down below. Make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification button to get updated on all my new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.